Up today is my favorite segment. This is Misery Loves Company, where hopefully we can take the failures of one individual and their story and implement some of the strategies in our own lives to achieve our goals with women. At the time that I met Marcus, he was 30 years old. He was living with his stepfather and his mother. And up until that point, Marcus had been single his whole entire life. He had never been with a woman. Marcus did have a purpose, a sense of his own self-worth, and he was trying to achieve his goals outside of women. So typically, at this point, if you had never been with a woman, there is some underlying reason, and typically 95% of the time, it has something to do with prior rejections or confidence. So the first question I asked him was his first recollection of women and how women perceived him. He told me a story about when he was in third grade. He had written a note to one of his crushes and asked if she wanted to be his girlfriend. Kind of the classic circle one, yes or no. She said no, and she kind of proceeded to kind of giggle, point, and laugh and make fun of Marcus. Kids on the playground would tease him, and he felt such ridicule that he remembered this story, 20 years later or whatever it was. So it had a very, very, very deep impact on his psyche. Typically, there's two types of rejection. We have active and we have passive. Active rejection is where people are going to ridicule you, laugh, point, make fun of. This type of rejection cuts quite a bit deeper than passive rejection. Passive rejection is just simply kind of ignoring your advancement, or for a woman to kindly say that she's not interested. In Marcus's first memory with women, he got actively rejected, and it left a scar on his confidence. This proceeded to be a pattern from that experience going forward, all the way up until high school. In high school, his mother had requested that he go to prom and make an effort to try to get a girl to go to prom with. But to force somebody to do something outside of their comfort zone probably had an even bigger scar on his childhood. He asked 3 different girls out. All 3 did actively reject him, to where it was a big joke around the school. From that moment on, that actually scarred him from his adolescent years all the way to when I met him, to when he was 30, when he had not actually asked one other girl out from that point in time. So we already see a pattern of rejection, and we already see a lack of confidence. Marcus, when he came to me, he was about 300 pounds. He was overweight. He wasn't clean cut. He didn't look me in the eyes. And you can see the years of not having success with women actively having a very, very deep impact on his well-being. Now, he did take the step in reaching out and making a cognitive effort to fix and find a solution to achieve a goal of meeting a woman who appreciated him, valued him, and fell in love with. We did have to work on his confidence, and the first thing that we implemented was the redefining rejection, the technique. Now, I will leave a link to that video up above where you can check that technique out in full. But he did start to actually utilize the technique, which is completely rejection free. So it did take any sort of rejection off of the table, which is what he was scared of. And over the course of time, about 2 weeks, he did finally understand what he was looking for in a woman. So step 1 was actually in the books. Step 2 was actually getting enough courage to ask a woman out on a date. He actually was already a couple steps ahead of the game, in the fact that 1, he had built up his confidence from the technique. 2, he knew exactly what he wanted. And 3, he already had a sense of purpose, and he was already a man on a mission. He took the leap of faith. He moved out, got his own place. After about the 3rd week, he got 5 or 6 different women that he was communicating with, building up his skills, building up his confidence, building up a mindset of abundance. His mindset completely shifted like that. It was like day and night. is like going to bed with a black and white television and waking up to seeing The Wizard of Oz in color. It was like he was a whole new person. He didn't hang on the balance of what one woman thought about him. He was able to go on a date and not have any sense of rejection because he had 2 or 3 other women that he was going to be going out with in the following days. He was working on losing weight. He worked every single day to improve one thing in his life to make him more attractive to women. He would watch videos. We would consult. He would go to the gym. He would use all of his resources and all of his time to make himself more valuable. Well, I do want to make a long story short. Marcus, now this has been 3 years. Marcus is a proud homeowner. He is now married, and they are expecting their first child, a baby boy. Will be due in November. And I am just so proud of Marcus. Marcus, if you're listening, congratulations. You have achieved everything that you worked for. I'm so proud, and I am just so thankful that you were able to grow and you were able to face your fear of rejection, build your confidence, create a life for yourself valuable enough to where women wanted to be included in your presence. You are truly a success story, my friend. I can't wait to have everybody hear your story. Comment down below if you want to give Marcus a shout out, or if you have a success story of your own. We would love to hear it. Also consider subscribing, as this is a podcast I typically like to do once a week where we tell a story. And again, hopefully you guys learned something today. Thank you.